Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you're new, I am a homeschool graduate and a homeschool mom to a couple of young kids. They will be in preschool and kindergarten this coming school year, and we have been enjoying experiencing homeschool from the teaching side. I've really been enjoying that. But today, I wanted to share with you my thoughts on a curriculum that I've been using that's a little bit lesser known. It's created by a homeschool mom. She has just some of her materials online available. And while I like it, I don't think it's a fit for us and we won't be continuing with it. But that doesn't mean it's not a fit for you because I don't think it's a bad curriculum. So I want to kind of just show you a little bit inside, give you my thoughts, give you why it didn't work for us, and maybe it will be a resource that you're interested in. If you like this kind of material, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos, and let's get into it. So the curriculum that I'm talking about is called Alphabet Adventures, and I hope that you can see this through my little cover protector. It is a PDF online, so I've printed it and put it into our notebooks. So it's in two parts. You can buy it part one, part two, and I think each part is about $13.99 for the PDF, so it's very affordable. Like I said, I actually do like things about it. It's just not quite a fit for us. It is written by a homeschool mom, like I mentioned, and her site that she has some other options for preschool aged unit studies and an Advent thing, some other things that I actually like. It's called Where Do You Learn That? And I'll link her site below if you're interested in checking it out. And I'll also link this particular curriculum below if you want to go look at that a little bit more. So like I said, it's affordable. It is a very gentle approach. There's not a lot of writing, so this is aimed at preschoolers probably. And as such, it's nice that there's not a lot of fine motor skills required. So she did, keep that in mind when she wrote this. It's gentle. There's not a lot of work. It's a little bit amount. Most of it is you with the child versus them having to do a lot. There are some work pages, which my child loves, and that's the part we've actually been using. But there's read alouds. There's some crafting kind of ideas to work with the letters. And so, like I said, I think if that's your style, then it actually is a great option. That's not really talked about because it's just kind of a one-off thing. So what I want to do is I want to turn the camera on and I want to kind of show you just like one letter's worth of kind of what it would walk you through for a week, so you can kind of get an idea how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the parent's guide. You got your table of contents, and the first part of this series, so like I said, it's in part one and part two. The first part is A through M, so the first half of the alphabet, and it does go through it alphabetically ordered. Some don't. It gives you kind of a welcome, what the goal is, what the plan is, how you do this, the different parts that you'll be reading, you'll be singing, you'll be doing some work pages, and you'll be doing some playful activities. And she kind of just walks through what that's going to look like. And then she has some frequently asked questions. What do I do if the hyperlinks don't work in here? Why are some songs and books repeated? Just some basic questions and her explanations of those. And then some no prep extensions for any books. So because they have a lot of read aloud in here, just some ways that you can make those books come a little bit more alive, things that you can do to enhance and make those books a little bit of a longer activity if you want. And this is great for not just this curriculum, but any books or picture books that you're doing with your children. She lists up front the main book that you'll read with each unit. So each unit is each letter, 1 week's worth of material. So she has those. So if you want to order them from the library or buy them up front, they are here. I also like that her books and songs are all hyperlinked. So in the PDF, you could click on this, and these will actually take you to a YouTube read aloud of these picture books or a YouTube song. So if you don't have the book or you can't get a hold of it or you don't want to read it yourself, I think that's a good option for your child to be able to watch the book on YouTube being read. And that also frees you up if you're working with more than one child because they can go do that for a minute while you're working with something else. And then she has you read a lot of ABC books as well in here. And so here's some just basic suggestions for that. You can always branch out, but she has some. And then just some extra adventure themed books that you could pick from. Flashcard games. She has those mixed in here. And so this is just some flashcard game ideas. When she recommends, do a flashcard game, you can come here and pick one of these. And then we get into the letters, and I'm going to go to letter J because I have the printouts for that in my student manual that aren't used currently, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through one of those here. So learning objectives, recognize the letter J by sight and that it represents the sound J. And I will say in the beginning of the series, she does a good job at explaining that letters are merely a representation of a sound. And she does that with something that a child can relate to. She talks about how animals have a name. A cow is a cow, but animals also have a sound. It goes moo. So something a child already recognizes, and then talking about how a letter is the same. A letter has a name, it's an A, but it also has a sound. It says ah. And she does emphasize that she recommends focusing on the sound versus the name of the letter when possible. She talks about both, but she really talks, when she talks about it, the sound of J, not the letter J. So that's helpful, I think. So she has her picture book recommendation for the letter J, Jabari Tries, and she has that hyperlinked again. She has the song she recommends. She has the letter J song. So there's 2 songs there. She has an action, do jumping jacks with it, along with the material. And like I said, she puts them in here. The handicraft recommendation, the supplies needed for that craft, and then some instructions for this craft. So it's very simply laid out, very easy to follow. And then she has it listed out by day 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and any notes that you want to make. And each week's teacher instructions look exactly like this. It's 1 page, the same layout every time. So day 1, she recommends you read or have your child watch the read aloud for Jabari Tries. And then you would sing the Jack and Jill song. You would do 1 to 2 activity pages, and I'll flip through the activity pages for you for letter J in a second. And then your play activity would be to build that letter. So with clay, Play-Doh, like those glasses cleaner things, anything that you want to do, toothpicks, to build the letter, so giving it something tactile. Day 2, you pick an ABC themed book of your choice. You watched a song video about the unit's letter, and she has the recommendation up here, but you guys find your own. Do another 1 to 2 activity pages, and then find the letter in real life. And like I said, she has these activities already written out for you, so if you're like, what's that mean? She did explain what that is. Day 3, you read Jabari Tries again. You sing the Jack and Jill song. So these are repeats, these first 2. Every other day you do Jabari Tries. Every other day you do an adventure or an ABC themed book of your choice. And then in the singing, it's the same 2 songs back and forth as well. You could switch them up if you want, but that's her recommendation. You always do 1 to 2 activity pages, and then they have different flashcard games, handicraft, build the letter. So this handicraft would be for this day here. So that's the layout for the teacher's manual, and it's very simple and explainable. And I think the reason I didn't really use it, because I didn't end up using this, I guess. We use the work pages mainly, and my child really enjoys the work pages, and so we've been doing that. But I feel like without this, it's not sticking as well as it should. And I'm just not a crafty person. I'm just not somebody who's going to pull out and build the letter every day or play the games or do the activities. And the books were a little bit long for me to read. In the beginning, I didn't realize that these hyperlinks took them to a YouTube read aloud. So I ended up just kind of skipping the books because they were not short picture books, and I'm busy and I'd rather read a different read aloud to both my children at once during the day than do this. And so I just ended up kind of skipping the teacher's manual altogether and just doing the workbook pages. And I think because this program is built to do with the workbook page or with the teacher's manual activities to really round it out, it just wasn't doing what it needed to. And again, like I said, I think that's more my fault for not doing the teacher's recommendations than it is that the material is not good. I think it's good material. And I think if you like these kind of activities and could see yourself actually doing them, then I think this is a great resource. But like I said, we just ended up doing the workbook pages. My daughter enjoyed the workbook pages and I was busy. And this is also for my 3-year-old. So I haven't been putting a lot of work into her curriculum. We're just doing a little bit here and there. So if I were to put a lot more work into it, or if she were a higher grade and it was more necessary that she learned, I would be willing to put more work into it. It's just at this point, it's not that necessary. And so this is just a little bit of extra. And so I have it. So like I said, I don't think we'll be continuing with this just because the work pages alone, I don't think are sufficient for what I'm wanting. And I just don't have the inclination to do the whole thing with her at this age that she's at. So work pages, they're very similar for each letter. You always start with the J says or the letter says. She has your instructions, point to the uppercase J and say the name, point to the lowercase j and say its name, trace them with your fingers or with a pencil. And then she talks about how the J makes this sound, and she has them circle the words that begin with that sound. Very basic. Here she would have you cut this little jellyfish out and use it to make the letters, to drive it around and say the sounds. She always have you say the sounds. She recommends saving this to come back to your build a letter day with Play-Doh or with other materials. So you use this to mold it on top of. And each day she has a little like, you could say this verbatim if you wanted to, or you can branch out, but do you know what this object is? It's a jar. So she really emphasizes the sound. We talk about what kind of foods are often stored in the jars, and then, find the J's. So this big cat is a jaguar, again, emphasizing the j part of it. And she talked a little about jaguars. Do you like jokes? Because jokes start with J, and then she has, some jokes that you have fun with your kids with. Go through your house and do a scavenger hunt for things that start with J. So these are recommended items, and they can check them off as they find them. Another tracing, but a little bit smaller. And then tracing down here. And this is the most motor skill gets. And you can totally skip this if your child isn't ready, right? Like you can do your own. Look at each picture and say the name, and then circle the sound that it starts with. And these will all be letters that they have already seen. She doesn't do any letters that they haven't seen, which I appreciate. It's not as confusing. Can you help the big J get to the little J through the maze? And then pasting the letters that they've learned, because up until this point, they will have learned through J. So you cut these out. And if you're printing this yourself, that is something to be aware of, because you do have to cut out a few things. So if you're double-sided printing, you kind of have to pay attention to where you're going to have to cut out, and you might need to leave the other side blank. So you cut them out and fill in the missing letters in the alphabet. And then ask your child what job they want to have when they grow up. Cut the letters at the bottom page and put them into their appropriate spaces. So again, just having to figure out which ones are going to have the right sound. And that's the last one. And there's generally, I would say, about 10-ish pages to this material. So I think it's a good resource. She does give you a fair amount of pages per letter, and I like it. Like I said, I think if this were going to be her main reading material, or if she were a little older, or if I enjoyed these kind of crafts more, we would have done a little bit more thorough of a walkthrough with the teacher's manual. But as it is, I'll finish it out, this part, but I probably won't buy the second part. I think we're going to move to something just a little bit simpler for me, something that's meant to be done with mainly work pages, since my daughter does enjoy those. But if you enjoy this and your child enjoys these, then I think this is a good option for you to look at and very affordable.